for us. So we're going to continue to do this however long we need to. So we'll still be here the second Thursday next month, however we work this out. We'll have a speaker, we'll have something for us to do, but and we're going to change the time officially from 12 to 1 indefinitely. So that's a change that we've made, not just for this time, but that'll be once we get back to meeting in our space, we'll do that again. So for those that are just joining us for the first time, I'm trying to look and see kind of who we have here. The Biz Foundry is an entrepreneur center and co-working space located in Cookeville. So we're just on the street from the hospital. For those who haven't been in our space before, the entrepreneur center side of things is that we host workshops and meetups and networking events to try and build a community of entrepreneurs or people who are inspired to work with entrepreneurs or have resources for entrepreneurs. So we do a series of events for them, or we have resources we can help you find funding and kind of that direction of things. And then we have a co-working space as well. And actually we have 3 co-working spaces. We have one here in Cookeville. We opened one in McMinnville in November, and we will have one in Sparta when things open back up. So those are a resource for people who are needing a space to work or just needing conference room time or an event space or a bigger meeting room. So that's normally where I say, this is where we're at in this event space and you can use this for the public. But my front room of my house is not where we can rent out and use for rentable resources. So, and that's kind of it. We have some virtual workshops and meetups that we're going to be doing this month. So next Tuesday we have a happy hour. The one big thing that I want to point out is that we have a class called Test It Before You Invest It. We try and do this once a month, and it's 3 hours long. And it's, if you have a business idea, kind of going through the first steps of what you need to know for a business. So what kind of customers would you have? What's your customer discovery look like? And Micah Johnson is an entrepreneur here in town. He facilitates the class for us. And we're going to be doing one this Saturday, 9 to 12. It might get over earlier with the virtual thing, but that is always free. But this one you can do from your house. You can just sit in your pajamas. You can turn your video off if you want. So this is a great opportunity for you to try it out and see, even if you don't necessarily have a business yet, but you think maybe that's a potential down the road. Think about what kind of customers you want to serve or how you want to serve them or how you're actually going to make money. I've had some business ideas and I thought, I don't really know how I could actually make money off this. And so it's good to kind of sit down with a group and go through how exactly you could form that business. So that's going to be this Saturday, 9 to 12. There's a registration link on our website. And so check that out. The other thing is, as business owners, if you're interested in resources out there dealing with COVID-19, our website has a lot of resources. Haley's been working really, really hard to keep our website probably up to date more than we have ever in our entire existence because things change daily. So check out our website for resources for businesses or even nonprofits, that the grants that are out there, SBA loans. Jeff and I did a radio interview yesterday that was on air for small businesses. And so that's a good resource too. We'll get the link for that on our website as well. So if you have any questions, for those who are newer to Zoom, it looks like all of you have your microphones muted anyway, but that helps to kind of keep down background noise. But then there's a chat button on the bottom. And so if you have any questions for Kim during this talk, you can put your questions in there, and then we can get to those at the end. And I'm going to start off the chat with telling what my number is. So this is all about Enneagram personality types, and hopefully you've had some time to check out your own number and know what your number is, or maybe your team members. We kind of force some of our team members that weren't really into personality tests, Haley, to take a test. And so we would know what her number was so that we could all kind of work together better. And so go ahead and drop your number there so we kind of can, oh yeah, you're totally a whatever. So, okay. Any questions about the Biz Foundry as well, you can type in there, but I'm going to hand it over to Kim.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Tiffany. This is definitely a little bit different than what we anticipated, right? But it's still great. And I did a Enneagram for beginners on Zoom on Monday. And so I kind of feel like I've done this once, so maybe this will go a little faster. Because if you guys have done any kind of Enneagram work before, you know that this is a very, very, very deep well of information. So I've been studying the Enneagram for 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. And I'll tell you, it has helped me tremendously. It helps me in my marriage. I understand my husband better. It helps me parent a little bit better. And then I've also seen it really help in my business when I work with my colleagues. So I work at Rising Above Ministries. We're a ministry to the special needs family. And so if you know of anyone raising children with special needs, you can point them to our website. Right now, all of our events are postponed. So, but you can go to our website, and this is actually a free resource for anyone. Okay, so this weekend is Easter, and we have a free downloadable virtual Easter egg hunt that you can download and participate with your kiddos. So if anybody's interested in doing that, it's on our website, risingaboveministries.org/Easter. You can find all that information there. So it's designed for families who have children with special needs, but it can be applicable to anyone or any family. So that's my Rising Above Ministries pitch. But I will say, so I work really closely with 3 other women, and then one guy. And learning about the Enneagram has been so helpful, especially in my own mind, like in my own head and in my own brain. So what's been helpful is knowing or finding out that other people see the world differently than I see it. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today, let me get my screen share happening here. So what you're looking at is a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to leave it like this for 2 reasons. One, if I make it full screen, the bar over here that shows people's faces covers up some of the screen, and I also like to see what's coming next. So I've done that too. So the Enneagram, if you don't know what it is, I'm going to try to run through just the basics quickly because I want to be sure to get to the end. So first of all, the Enneagram is an ancient tool used for spiritual and mental health. Now, it's been used for centuries, literally. It has ties to all major world religions. So this has been used in every country around the world. It describes your motivations, your tendencies. Sorry, he brought my lunch. So it describes your motivations, your natural tendencies, and how you see the world. Now, there are 9 distinct personality types, and they each have their own pattern of defensive strategies. So like if someone were to make you angry, you would react or respond in a certain way. And each of the 9 personality types has a reaction style or has a personality style. Any kind of conflict, you're going to have a style of conflict. I'm an 8. Mine is more aggressive. If you're an 8 or you know an 8, they have a more of an aggressive style of conflict. So why do we even do this? Well, first of all, self-awareness. It helps me to understand my own reactions, tendencies, so that I can be aware and change my own behavior. Okay. It's helped me immensely in communication and conflict resolution, gives me a deeper compassion for other people. I would just say to people, like, this is how it is. Why can't you do it? You know, or like, why can't you follow the rules? Or why can't you do this? And this has just been super helpful for me to understand that. Like, just for example, I walk in my kitchen, the first thing I'm going to see is dirty dishes. Like, that's what I see when I walk in my kitchen. Because of my husband's personality, he literally can't see the dirty dishes. Like, he has to be looking for the dirty dishes in order to see them. So it just gives me a better view of how he sees the world, so then I can have deeper compassion for him. It also is great for self-care and mental health. Just allows you to heal from past hurts. So, what's that door? Okay, so according to a study done at Cornell, self-awareness is the strongest predictor for success. So the Cornell School for Business did a study and just like looked at the different things and how success is related, or how success could be predicted. And self-awareness is one of the top ones that could predict success. Now, self-awareness in self-reflection, it all depends on how you pour into you, you know, and like how you look at your own beliefs, your own self-thoughts. Does that make sense? Self-aware leaders are always humble, always improving, and then are quick to show grace and stick out the tough situations. So I want to be clear before we get too far along that it's just one tool that can be used. It is not scripture, like it's not in the Bible, like Jesus didn't teach Enneagram, but there is, it's been used in Christianity for centuries. Now, there's also no power in the Enneagram itself, okay? It's just a tool that we can use to kind of help us understand our own minds and personalities. So if you're going to be listening or talking about the Enneagram with people, you're going to hear 4 vocabulary words, and I just want you to know what those 4 vocabulary words mean before we get too far. So the first one is wings. So you could be one of these 9 personality types. Okay, you could be a 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. If you have let's say I saw a few of you say I'm a 2. Okay. If you are a 2, okay, your wings can only be a 1 or a 3. Okay. So you want to think of it as the wings are going to be the ones directly next to you. Okay, so if you are a 2, you can be a 2 wing 1 or a 2 wing 3. Okay, now health is the number that you tend to look like when you are super healthy. So in this example, I have a 9. If you are identified as a 9 in your healthiest self, okay, what that looks like is, for me, health looks like working out, eating healthy, daily scripture reading, meditation, journaling, that kind of stuff. If I'm really healthy and I'm feeling good, the 9 will look like the positive side of 3. Okay. And the positive side of 3 we'll talk about in just a minute. Okay. So every number is good. Okay. There are no, like, it's not like you're trying to be the number 1. Okay. That's not really how this works. Every number is awesome. And if you want a strong team, you want to build with multiple personality, like different, you want your team to have lots of different numbers on it. If that makes sense. If you had a team full of 8s, you'd never get anything done. They just fight all the time. Okay. If you had a team full of 3s, your job would get done, but I think the heart behind it would be missed. Okay. So anyway, that's just kind of my, there's no number 1. All right. Well, let's talk about stress. We are all in some level of stress. So 9s, when they are stressed out, they tend to look like 6s. Now, the negative side of 6. Okay. So every number has a positive and a negative, right? The negative side of 6 is kind of like a worrier, like worry all the time, super anxious, about just everything, running a loop in your brain. So when 9s are stressed out, that's how they look. And every number has a stressed out number. So the last word we're going to look at is called triads. Okay, and this is, we're going to not spend a lot of time here because there's so much information. I just want to tell you what this is. Triads, 8, 9s, and 1s are in the gut triad. They make decisions based on their gut, their instinct. They are also called the anger triad. All 3 of these have a relationship with anger. Okay, 8s vocalize their anger. 9s are totally asleep to their anger. You will never see a 9 get mad unless you're married to one. And then the 1 will like stuff it until it can't stuff no more, and then it'll explode. The next triad is 2, 3s, and 4s. These are the heart triads. These are the people that totally confound me. 2s, 3s, and 4s have all kinds of feelings. Okay, 2s, their feelings are more about other people, and they are seeking. They're always looking to see how other people feel, and that kind of gives them a clue of how they should feel. 3s, again, it's kind of like the 9, their relationship with feelings. 3s would be like, I don't have any feelings. Well, you do. You just don't know they're there. Okay. And then a 4 would have feelings upon feelings upon feelings, and their feelings would all be inward. Okay. They would be taking your feelings and holding them on for themselves. And the last one would be the head triad, or the thinking triad. 5, 6s, and 7s, all of them are going to be constantly thinking. Okay. 5s are going to be in their heads running over knowledge, like the different, like they are knowledge seekers. And so they'll be constantly thinking about things they need to know or want to know. 6s will be running over worst case scenarios. Okay. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? That's a 6's brain. That's what they're thinking about. And 7s, our sweet 7s, are always thinking about the future. Like they want to plan the next thing. They want to do the next thing. They're constantly thinking, but they're always thinking about the next thing. Okay. So here is just a quick little thing about each center. So the gut triad, like I said, 8, 9, 1, they're really into their instincts. They really make decisions from their gut. They struggle with anger, all 3 groups. And then our common desire is justice. Like we really want to protect our people, really want justice for everyone. 2, 3, 4, like I said, feelings. Their emotional struggle would be more like shame. And that's different. That shows up differently in each number. But their big thing is they want significance and identity. Okay. They really need significance and identity. And then our head center, our fear, they think all the time. Their emotional struggle will be anxiety. And they all want security. Okay. So it's just kind of a roundabout of the triads. Up next, how to identify your type. So if you're already here, you might have taken a test, okay, a test online. I would not rely on a test solely because it won't tell you with 100% certainty what your number is, okay? But it might narrow it down, okay? If you take a test and it gives you like a top 3, top 4, I would look at those 3 or 4, okay? It's very common to mistype. I've mistyped twice. Okay. The first time I took it, I was like, I'm a 2. I must be a 2. And then my husband was reading this book that I recommend, The Road Back to You. My husband and I were reading it together. And he was like, honey, I think you should read these chapters again. And like, was very polite, but said, you're not a 2. So that's another thing that I would suggest. Discuss with your closest community, like people that if they talk to you and tell you something you don't like, that won't offend you. Okay. If you have anyone in your life that you can talk to that won't offend you, discuss your results with them. They can tell you, like the closest people to you, your husbands, your sisters, your moms, your dads, your best friend since you were 15. Those people can tell you kind of closer to what you've shown them the real you. Do you know what I'm saying? Not just, someone you just met is not going to know your deepest, stuff. So here's what I'd like to do with my remaining time. I'm doing pretty good. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to go through each number, give you a brief overview of that number. And then my favorite thing, what I'm going to do is tell you if you're a 1, what's it say? If a 1 is on your team, or if you're leading a team as a 1. Okay, so we're going to talk about both of those. So your 1s are called the reformer. These are the people that walk into a room and they can see immediately what needs to be fixed. Okay, so a friend of mine, his name is Dan. He's a 1, and we walked into church the same day, or the same morning. We walked into church, we sat down, and within 5 minutes, he had texted me and said, can you see that there was a table up on stage and someone had pulled the chair out from the table? Like the chairs were not neatly tucked in the table. And he texted me and was like, can you see that chair? Like, that's the only thing I can see. Like he couldn't, the stage is huge, but the only thing he could see was this chair was out of place. Those are 1s, and you need a 1 on your team. Okay. 1s, when they're healthy, they're bold, courageous, missional, ethical, self-disciplined. Your 1s are not going to steal from you. You put a 1 on your team, they're not going to steal from you. They are the ones that are going to be catching the people that are doing the wrong thing. Now, here's the kicker. Let's talk about if a 1's on your team. 1s feel useful when they're able to fix things and make them better. Okay. So if you need something organized, give it to your 1. Give them attainable goals. If you give them this vague thing, they will not know what to do with it. And they'll feel like they failed because you didn't give them enough specifics. Does that make sense? Also, it's important to celebrate them when they achieve that goal. Okay. Okay. So this is another thing. When criticism is necessary, because everybody needs criticism. If you have a 1 on your team and they need to criticize someone, do it gently and in private. If you do it in front of your whole team, your 1 is going to be very upset. And here's why. 1s are so hard on themselves. They have something called an inner critic. Okay. This is the little voice that runs in their head that always tells them they're doing something wrong. Always. Okay. Like literally all day, from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, they have someone in their brain telling them, you could have done that better. Your hair looks terrible. Why did you do that way? They probably don't want you to talk right now. Like that's always going in a 1's brain. So when you give them criticism, they're not going to take it great if it's in a large group because they already think they're failing. Okay. So be gentle. Next, if you are a 1 leading a team, okay, let's say you're a 1 and you want to lead a team and you want to lead them well. Go for a walk outside before a difficult meeting. So if you have a difficult meeting where you have to kind of fix some things, you have to have difficult conversations, it's going to be best to go for a walk before that meeting because your struggle is anger and resentment. And if you don't ground yourself before going into that meeting, you may say something you might regret, or you'll say something in a different way than what you intend. If that makes sense. Okay, so number 1s, if you're leading your team, be aware that everyone doesn't have the same commitment to time and efficiency that you do. 1s, it's very important 1s are on time. If it's important to you that your meetings start at 10 a.m., that needs to be communicated to everyone, because if someone comes in late, okay, if there's a meeting, it starts at 10 and a 1 is leading the meeting. When that person comes in at 10:05, I don't care. Like I'm not a 1, I'm an 8. I don't care that somebody comes in at 5 after. But to a 1, that's a big deal. So if you're leading the team as a 1, make sure that everyone knows that time is a real important thing for you, and it's important for everyone to be there on time. Okay. If you are being led by a 1, go to the meeting on time. Make it a priority. Okay, so this is a great one, and this is probably good for all of us, but it says take 5 deep breathing breaks per day. So here's what you can do if you're a 1. You get stressed a lot, you get kind of bent up. So if you set your alarm on your phone for 5 times a day to take a break and breathe 5 times a day, it'll do wonders. And the last one is give yourself some grace, because the people around you are not critiquing you as harshly as you're critiquing yourself. Okay, so back off yourself, tell your inner critic to be quiet, you're doing your best, and move on. Okay, all right, let's talk all you wonderful 2s. I love all the 2s in my life. I love all my 1s too, but they're so hard on themselves. They're hard to like receive love. Helpers love when you love them. They are rational, generous, but can sometimes be insecure and unaware, like kind of unaware of what they're doing. When they're healthy, they're humble, thoughtful, caring, empathetic, appreciative, generous, encouraging. But their struggle is pride. Now, not the kind where it's like I'm better than everybody pride, but like I can handle this on my own pride. You know, like it's okay, I don't need help, but I can help other people, but I myself don't need any help, if that makes sense. They are people pleasers generally. They seek approval through helping others. Okay, now here's another thing. 2s, the reason you want a 2 on your team is they will foresee what needs are coming before they even happen. Okay, your 2s also have a very weird superpower. I say weird, it's cool. I wish I had it. They can be in a room and can tell what everyone's feelings are in the room. So like a 2 could walk in a room and be like, something's wrong with Steve over there. Everything okay? And they're like, oh yeah, Steve's grandfather passed away, or Steve's this passed away. You know, like the 2 will know. The 2 will get that. And it's just like this in them, like empathy muscle is so strong in 2s. A special note with 2s is they can often insert themselves in situations where help is not necessarily asked for. And so if you have a 2 in your life that keeps hopping in to help you, you can say out loud to them, hey, I love you for you. I would like to do this on my own today. I think that's fine. You can totally say that to a 2. So if a 2's on your team, 2s feel useful when they're doing something. So give them tasks. Again, be specific. Be careful. Okay, so this is another thing. The 2 will say yes to everything. Okay, seriously, your 2, if you ask your 2 to do this, they'll say yes. Do that, they'll say yes. They will always say yes. Okay, so you have to protect the 2 in your life. Okay, protect the 2 by not giving them too much. Okay, they love to be helpful, but they will be helpful at their own detriment. Okay, tell them out loud how much you appreciate them. I forget that, man. As an 8, I totally forget to say how much I appreciate people. I think it in my brain, but then it goes away. Say it out loud to a 2 for sure. I talked about the 2's intuition superpower. Man, if you've got a 2 on your team, use that. Ask their opinion in private, because sometimes they won't share it out loud, but sometimes they have the wisdom that I don't have. They will have a different perspective that's always. If you're a 2 and you're leading a team, what you need to do is communicate your needs to others. Okay. Don't just shy away from things. You need to tell them out loud. They're not going to hate you for it. Just tell them out loud what you need. Okay. Okay. So take 1 hour a week for self-care for 2s. That's very important. 1 hour a week. Okay. It's not lazy. It is not selfish. You need to do it. That's a real thing. Okay. Here's another thing for 2s. So won't take your advice, and that's okay. All right. It doesn't mean they don't value you. It just means they want another direction. Okay. I got to move fast through these. So 3, these are your image conscious achievers. This is the person you need on your team for sure, because the 3 will get it done. Okay. The 3 is the one, if you give them a job, they will do it and do it like better than you could have thought to do it. Okay. Everybody needs at least one 3 on their team. I have a 3 on my team. She is fantastic. She's hardworking. She is adaptable. She's competent, effective. I give her, we give her ideas and she just takes them 10 feet further. Now, their struggle is deceiving themselves. It says deceit. They're not going to outright lie. I don't mean to say they're a liar. It means that they deceive themselves into believing that they're only, they are the image they present to others. Okay? They will sometimes embellish the truth by putting on a polished persona. Again, 3s don't even know they're doing this, man. They don't it's second nature. So they're going to say, no, I'm the same, I'm this. But, with a little bit of digging and some therapy, I bet they would say they kind of project a different persona than who they really are inside. Again, it's not bad. It's just what we do. It's this is what happens when we're kids and something happens to us. This is the coping mechanism we develop. Okay, so none of this is bad. This is all just how we are. Okay, so special note, this is different. The 1s want to be perfect. The 3s need to look perfect, and they will not slow down. Okay. If you have a 3 on your team, the 3 will work harder than anyone else. Be careful not to overuse them. 2, tell them out loud that you appreciate them. They will not know what to do with this. If you tell a 3, I'm so thankful for you, they'll be like, what? This is what I do. They won't understand, but they do need to hear it nonetheless. Okay, here's another one. Don't interrupt them while they're working. Okay, if you have a 3 on their team and you see them like this, okay, wait until they look up before you go talk to them. Okay, they are in the zone. Okay, my friend Chris is that. Okay, if I go to talk to her and she's looking at her computer working away, I know to come back later. Okay. If there's a 3 on your team, you need to schedule their days off for them because they won't do it on their own. A 3 will have a hard time taking a day off work. So you need to schedule those for them, just for future reference. All right, so if you're the 3 leading the team, and I almost guarantee there's a lot of leaders, 3s in this group, everyone doesn't have the same level of work ethic that you do. And not everybody has the same energy that you do. So it's going to be hard, but don't expect other people to put in the same number of hours that you do, okay? You are a unicorn. When it comes to hard work and getting it done, you're a unicorn. So be gentle with the people around you that are not as driven maybe as you are, okay? Next, delegate. Now this is an ugly word. When Chris and I talk to each other, if I mention the word delegate, she just looks at me like, oh, because she knows she can get it done faster than if she were to delegate it to someone else. But it ends up working out better if she can delegate into a team. Okay. Now, this is another one. Self-care, 1 hour a week for a 3. That's important. 4s. Oh my gosh, I love 4s. Okay, everyone needs a 4 on their team because the 4 will tell you to stop and look at the beauty around you. And I love a good 4. I'm married to a 4, so I really do love them. They're dramatic. They are artistic. They can live in melancholy, which is not wonderful, but it can be, because in that melancholy is kind of where this art kind of exists, okay? So when they're healthy, they're compassionate, empathetic. They have that empathy muscle that 2s also have. But their struggle is going to be envy. And not like I want what they have, but listen, this is so sad, y'all. Okay. The 4 believes that there is something tragically wrong with them and that other people have it. Like there's something in me that's missing or wrong and everybody else has it, but I don't. And it is so sad, but that's not true at all. There's nothing that I have that that there's nothing, I don't even know what that is. But when my husband read this book and he got to that point where it was talking about the 4s always feeling like there was just something missing, don't tell him I told you, instant tears. Like he just started crying. Like he felt like nobody's ever understood me before in my life. And it was just so sweet. So if you have a 4 in your life, give them a hug. Tell them to stop feeling everyone else's feelings. That's important. So if you have a 4 in your life, they are also feeling everyone else's feelings. But they also tell them they're not missing anything. Okay, there's nothing about them that's intrinsically missing. So this is all this is all on there. They have a great intuition, great vision. It's almost like they can see things that I can't. Give plenty of compliments, lots and lots of compliments, because they're also self-deprecating. Tell them that you love their talent, because they don't see their own talent. Their talent is nothing to them. Like they are, it's just who they are, and they think they are bad. So you need to tell them they're great. Don't feel like you need to make them happy all the time, because they're just melancholy sometimes, and that's just life. Don't feel like you have to fix that. Oh, please, please, please don't tell a 4 they're too sensitive or that they're overreacting. They are reacting. They are not overreacting. They are reacting. And so allow them that space to have that feeling. Okay. Feeling pretty good. All right. 5s. Man, you need a 5 on your team, because they are going to know everything. I'm not kidding. A 5 will know so much. They just won't say it out loud. Like if you, so 5s are perceptive, sometimes detached. They're super introverted. So that's why they don't like, first of all, they don't like meetings. They don't like going to meetings. I don't know if we would have a 5 on here. If we do, I love you. You're stretching yourself. But 5s don't like meetings because they're draining. They are drained to be around people. So if you have a 5 on your team, let them work at home. I don't know, it's just an idea. But when they're healthy, they're studious, perceptive, pioneering, insightful, observant. My favorite 5s know so much about so many things. I've got one 5 friend who's in psychology, and pretty much every time I have any kind of mental health question, I text him. Like, just because he's a wealth of knowledge, and it's just insane. Now, here's why they have so much knowledge, because it's all coping mechanisms, right? We all have that. So the 5 struggle with feeling like they have a lack of resources. Like something's going to come at me and I'm not going to be able to respond. Like something's going to come in my life and I'm not going to be able to handle it. Therefore, I need to grab as much knowledge as I can, because remember, 5s really value security, right? So they think the more knowledge they gain, the more secure they feel, okay? Which is great. We can totally love all that knowledge. Like we can utilize it on our team. But we need to tell the 5s that they can handle things. Like, and that their needs are not a problem. Like you need to tell a 5 that. It says 5s perceive the world as a dangerous place, and they're afraid of feelings and tend to remain in their thoughts. They would much rather be up here than here. If you're married to a 5, or you're in a relationship with a 5, they will not know what to do if you start crying. They will be like, we need a break. Like we need to, like, they don't like that. And then they'll talk you to death with knowledge while you're having feelings. They're so sweet, but I love them. But they're not into the feelings thing. And I don't love feelings either, but 5s are even more than 8s. Okay, 5s. Ask their opinion. If you have a 5 on your team, ask their opinion. They're not going to give it to you right away. So you're going to need to ask and then pause. Okay, wait for their answer. They may seem aloof or detached, but they're not. They're engaged. They're just thinking. Okay, give them time. Okay, so here we go. 5s, if you have a 5 on your team, they prefer to be given a project, a due date, and then allow them to finish it on their own. Okay, don't be clingy or micromanagey, right? If you have a 5 on your team. They don't like surprises. They don't like intrusions on privacy. And they don't like too many emotions. Okay, now, if you are a 5 and you're leading a team, trust your wisdom. You are capable. You are competent. There's nothing you're lacking. And no one expects you to have all the answers. Okay. fives. If you're leading a team, no one's expecting you to have all the answers. Ask for help. It does not appear weak, okay? If you're a five and you're leading a team, I think they would interpret not knowing the answer as weakness, and that's just not true, because nobody knows everything. Like fours, your energy is going to be gained for being alone, so allow yourself some alone time. So I have a friend who's a five, and she has 5 kids under, I think her oldest is 7 now. So she has 7-year-old and then 5 underneath, with a set of twins in there. And she told me, we were talking one day, and she was like, I'm a terrible mother. I was like, what's wrong with you? You're not a terrible mom. She goes, I can't be around them one more minute. I just can't. I am currently in my closet. She had locked herself in her closet. And I was like, yeah, I mean, there's somebody else there watching the kids. Just lock yourself in the closet. Have some alone time. Like, don't feel bad about that. If you're a 5, do not feel bad about alone time. That's where you gain your energy. And you've got to have energy. If you're going to be in a people world, you're going to have to gain that energy. So don't feel bad about taking some alone time. All right, 6s. So statistically speaking, 50% of all people are 6s. That's what they say. I don't know. I don't know where that number comes from. I don't know how you can even know that. But it's predicted that 50% of Americans, let's say that, are 6s. Now, 6s, when they're healthy, they're faithful, reliable, hardworking, courageous, some of the best leaders I know. I have a 6 on my team, and I'm so thankful for her. She is loyal. But she is also fearful. Okay, so you're going to hear the 6 and anxiety a lot together. Okay, 6s deal with a lot of anxiety. So along with being super anxious, they are also some of the most courageous people, because here's the thing. 6s in general are afraid or like worried about everything, but they choose to be involved in the world. They choose to be leaders. They choose to put themselves out there but like through their courageousness. Okay, so along with this fear and anxiety, they also have this superpower of courage. Okay, because I don't know how courageous I would be if I had all that fear. You know what I'm saying? Special note, everyone has fear and anxiety. Everyone has that, especially right now. Everybody's afraid. That's normal. The 6 has a unique relationship with fear. It's all the time in their heads, okay? A 6, when we're allowed to go back to restaurants, a 6 will sit in a place where they can see the door because they need to see an exit. Like if something were to go down, I need to be able to get out of this seat, okay? A 6 will run through the worst case scenario so that they can be prepared. Does that make sense? Like in case, what if the worst happens? I need to be prepared for that. So they'll run that in their brain. So if you have a 6 on your team, it's important to be direct and clear. Also, don't change plans last minute. Okay, that's real important for security. Remember, 6s love and value security. So changing plans last minute feels very up in the air, okay? Don't judge them for their anxiety. Okay, that can be tough, because if you're not a 6, you don't know the level of fear that is happening. Just be supportive. Acknowledge their fear, but don't judge them as irrational or stupid, okay? We have a thing at work where the 6 that I work with will say, this is what I'm thinking. Is this true or not true? Because a lot of times she thinks things that aren't true about her, maybe even about herself, about like she thinks something is going to happen when it may not. And I can tell her it's not true. That doesn't feel true to me. Laugh, make jokes regularly. Don't make fun of them, but joking with them makes them feel like part of the team, because 6s often will feel insecure as part of a team. Okay. Reassure them they're doing a good job. Even if you think they know they're doing a good job, tell them they're doing a good job. Okay. If there's a 6 on your team and they are the leader, tell them they're doing a good job. Okay. Because they don't know. They're constantly worried that they're not doing enough, constantly. So you tell them that they're doing great. You feel good about them being your leader, like you love your 6 on your team. So if you're a 6 and you're leading a team, trust your wisdom. 6s, you have a lot of good stuff. You have a lot of good wisdom. You are capable and competent in a way that some of us are not. Okay. Okay. Here's another trick. So if you're a 6, you're going to be thinking all the time, like all the time. I don't do that. I do not think all the time. It actually takes effort for me to think. So if you're a 6 and you are thinking all the time, okay, use your thinking time productively. Okay. What I mean by that is jot it down and put it away later. 6s will often tell me that they wake up in the middle of the night and they can't stop thinking about this thing that they're going to do the next day. It's 3 a.m. and they're like, just running through the scenario of the next day, having a conversation with someone in their brain in the middle of the night. Here's what I tell you to do. Jot it down and pick it up tomorrow at 8. Okay. Because there's nothing you can do about it at 3 a.m. right? There's nothing anybody can do at 3 a.m. except lose sleep. So jot it down and try to put it away. Also, the 6th last piece, don't let fear keep you from doing what you're called to do. Oh, we're almost done, guys. You're being so great. Thank you so much. 7s, these are your entertainers. Okay, they're optimists, entertainers, uninhibited, but sometimes can also appear manic. So they're joyful, enthusiastic, spontaneous. They're the best friend to have in any situation. They're just like, yeah, let's go do this. Let's go do this. Let's go do this. They're the super fun, energetic. Pew, pew, pew. That's how I view a 7. It's kind of like bouncing back and forth all the time. Now, the reason that 7s are like that, and I love 7s. I have a dear friend who's a 7. And she has told me before, the thing that frustrates her the most about being a 7 is she can't enjoy the moment she is in because she's always looking at the next moment as the thing that next moment has the thing that this one is lacking. Okay. So like, she has a hard time enjoying where she is because she's so future focused. Okay. So if you have a 7 on your team, ask them to plan the fun. Okay. If you have a fun outing, ask the 7 to plan it because they'll take it, they'll run with it. Okay. They're great at setting the mood. Have them or if you need a playlist, like you're going to have this day or whatever, and you need a playlist, ask the 7 to put it together. They'll love it. If you ask them something deep or tough, allow them time to think it through. They will need time to reflect. That should say reflect, not deflect. So they may not answer right away, and they may deflect it. They feel the need to deflect. No, that is what that's supposed to say. They will feel like they need to deflect it because they don't know right away, but give them time. Okay, so this is a good one. If you have a 7 on your team, don't be offended if they stop listening during the meeting. Okay, if you're a 7 and you've stopped listening to me, that's totally fine. I'm not offended. It's hard for 7s to pay attention for a long period of time, okay? Especially when things get boring. Okay, here's another thing that my 7 friend, so this next one came from my friend who's a 7. Let them get their full idea out before squashing it. Don't squash it. Say yes and, okay? So 7s are gonna have big ideas, fun, whatever. I'm super practical. The first thing I say was, how are you going to do that? Or how are you going to, because for example, what she wanted to do was a concert. And I was like, how are you going to sell tickets to a concert right now? You know, like us, like our team. How are we going to do that? And she goes, I don't know, but doesn't it sound like fun? Like, yes, it sounds like fun. Don't squash it. Say yes. I love that idea. How can we do this? You know, before you just squash it all the way. Okay. Now, if you're a 7 and you're leading a team, this is very important. Find help. You internally are not good at details. That's fine. Get an administrative assistant that is good with details. Okay, get somebody on your team. At 7, you have incredible vision. You just need to pay someone to do your bills. Okay, you just need someone on your team to do your thus and so. That doesn't make you a bad leader. That actually makes you a good leader. That's delegation. That's like that's awesome. So hire people that fill in your gaps, right? Don't be afraid to ask for help. Just because you ask for help doesn't make you weak. Okay. Here's another 7. If you're leading the team, please do not avoid conflict when it comes to leadership. I know it's hard. 7s have a really hard time with conflict because it's not fun. 7s love fun, but you can do it. Okay. You have wisdom. It needs to be shared. Okay. So let's move on to the 8s. That's me. I know there's Tiffany too. A couple of 8s now in the group like this. I bet there's a few 8s out there because we're typically the leaders. We're the ones that like to be in charge. They're big-hearted, merciful leaders, determined. Okay, here's what 8s need to know. Control. Okay? That's what we struggle with. We're going to struggle. We are the lust and excess, that's our struggle, but it's not really lust the way you think of lust. It's more like, I need this intensity in my life. Okay. And I need control and power over it. Okay. Special notes. 8s can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. It's your choice. Okay. They may not always be forceful, but they never want to be controlled. So if you have an 8 in your life, don't control them. That will go badly. Okay. If there's an 8 on your team, be direct and clear with them. Don't change plans last minute. Oh, wait. Oh no, guys, that's a repeat of 6. I can't believe I did that. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll fix that later, but I can talk about if there's an 8 on your team. So if there's an 8 on your team, first of all, it's going to be really hard for your 8 to be on the team and not in charge of the team. Okay, so acknowledge that. If you have an 8 on your team and they are short with you, they're not really that short. They're not trying to squash your idea. They're not trying to be short with you. They're really trying to make the idea better, if that makes sense. Now, if you are an 8, if you're an 8 and you're leading the team, you're already pretty good at leading. I would say if you're an 8 on your team, you're leading the team, I need you to be aware that you come across harsher than what you intend. Okay? 8s have the biggest heart. Like I have a couple 8 friends. They have the biggest heart of anyone. But when they open their mouths, it feels like they're yelling. And I know they don't mean it. I don't mean it. But it's like, it comes across harsher than you mean it to. So if you've got a team, know what their Enneagram number is and know how to talk to them. I hope the 9 didn't do that too. Oh no, good. Okay. So the 9, there's probably a lot of 9s in here too. They're peaceful, reassuring, but can sometimes feel complacent or neglectful. 9s are in a unique position on the Enneagram. Do you remember me telling you that? So the 9s are at the top. So because 9s are at the top, they can empathize with every number. Okay. You need a 9 on your team because your 9 can mediate. Okay. Your 9 is going to be the person who has the level head. Okay. They're not going to get angry. They're going to watch everyone else get angry and then they're going to fix it. Okay. 9s, if you have a 9 on your team, I'm almost done, I promise, and we'll get to some of these chats. Oh my goodness. I hope Tiffany's doing some of that. Ask their opinion and then wait, because they're slow to speak. 9s think that their opinion doesn't matter as much. So you need to make sure you ask their opinion. Okay, here's for a 9. If you're a 9, 9s are more tired than the average person. Do not interpret this as lazy, okay? Especially if you're an 8 or a 3, you've got all this energy. if you have a 9 on your team, they may appear lazy. They're not lazy. They're just inherently tired. A 9 can sleep anywhere. Like they could just sit in their chair and go to sleep. Okay, that's a 9. If you're leading a sorry, I got to going too fast. If you have a 9 on your team, they need to-do list and deadlines, and then grace when they don't meet the deadline. They're slow to start, but generally aren't offended by to-do lists. They actually would rather have a to-do list. So if you are leading a 9, or you're on a team with a 9, giving them a list of things to do is not, giving me that would be patronizing. But giving a 9 that is actually very loving, okay? Giving them that, because it tells them where to go and what to do next, okay? That's actually a sweet thing. Okay, trust your wisdom. If you're leading a team as a 9, trust your wisdom. You're awesome. Practice healthy conflict. And if you can't do the hard conversation, start small. The 9s typically don't like conflict. Also, don't be afraid to ask other people for your own needs. You're in charge. So your needs are not negative in any way. All right, resources. These are the resources that I suggest. This is what I follow. So these are the 3 people I recommend following. Your Enneagram coach. Now, I'm a Christian, and so these are the people. These are more believers. Like all 3 of these are Christians too, and so these are the 3 people I follow. There's a lot of Enneagram teachers out there. You can find any of them. YourEnneagramCoach.com is going to be more of a Christian view. EnneagramInstitute.com is also a Christian view, but a little different. It's more as if a 5 were making the website, is the Enneagram Institute. It's a lot of information. If you're into music, okay, if you're a 4 specifically, or you're into music, I want you to look this up. Sleeping at Last. Okay, he is a singer-songwriter, and he did a song for each Enneagram type. And I want you to listen to the music and read the lyrics as you listen to it. Oh my gosh, I've never felt more known in my life. I listened to the 8 and just cried. I was like, that's exactly how I feel. Like, how did he even do that? But it's beautiful music. And then there's also a podcast where he goes into how, if you're into music, he goes into how he built every song. Every song is like, even the music part is for that number. So 8s are generally very powerful. The music is very powerful. These are the books that I've read that I liked. If The Road Back to You is like a beginner, like that's where you should start. Again, these are all Christian filters. But The Road Back to You is, I would say, number 1. Path Between Us is Enneagram and relationships. And then The Sacred Enneagram is like a deep dive, if you're still interested in more Enneagram stuff. And then here's some podcasts I like that are Enneagram focused. Tiffany, we ready for questions?
Yes, we're a little bit over on time. We still have a large group. We lost a few, but the one question that came up, and I've had this question myself, is, so I felt like maybe in my 20s, I related to a little bit more, and we've had people commenting, well, I relate to all these things. All these are my wings. But once I read the book, I really felt like I identified with an 8, and I felt like I can see these other characteristics, but that was my true self. So how do you know whether, the question was something of, now I'm married, I see life a different way, I feel like I'm my personality. How do you find out the true you?
Okay, so from what I've read and from the teachers that I've follow and the teachers that I read, they're called like Enneagram teachers. They don't call themselves like gurus or anything. But anyway, that you are born as a number. Like 70% of your, like they call it 70% nature, 30% nurture. So like when you're born, your number is basically decided, but then if you have life things that happen to you that can change your number. But once you hit like 18 to 25, your number is pretty much your number. Now, as things happen to you, you become a mom, you you have any kind of trauma, you have a good relationship or a bad relationship, all of those things will then cause, so like, remember I was talking earlier about stress and health? Okay. So like, whatever your number truly is, I would look towards like where you were between 18 and 25. That's probably your truest self. And then life circumstances have caused you either to be healthy or to be stressed. And now that number is probably what you look like or how you feel. Does that make sense? So for you, just for you and me, Tiffany, we're 8s. So when we're super healthy, we look more like 2s. We look a lot like a 2. When we are unhealthy, we look like a 5. Okay? Real introverted, don't want to talk to people, need to deal with it on our own kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and let me kind of go into that, is that so yeah, it's that 2, and I think the first time I took a test, I felt like, oh, well, I really, really, truly enjoy helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And but that is a characteristic of 8s.
It is. It can be.
I think then you kind of embrace that in 8s a little bit more. But I think with the road back to you, what really hit me was the factors in your childhood. Maybe you were in a position with just an 8 at least, of you kind of almost grew up too fast and something.
Yeah.
And so once you read those characteristics of your childhood, you're kind of like, oh yeah. And I think then you can lean into that instead of as a challenger. It was always this negative thing, especially as a female. And so I think you can embrace what encompasses your personality instead of let me shy away from that because that's negative.
Right. So let me tell you, Tiffany, something that, and then maybe any other fellow 8s out there, I have always been told to tone it down. Like that is the message I have gotten my entire life. You need to tone yourself down. And because I think my upbringing, I grew up Southern Christian female, right? And so, and especially in my religious denomination, I'll go there, especially in my denomination, particularly the one I was in, women are not leaders. That's not a thing. You can't do that. And so for me, I was like, what do you mean I can't lead? That's kind of like, I just feel like that's natural to me. And so I spent a lot of time toning down part of my personality that I feel like God gave me, and I feel like
which is going towards a 5.
Right. And so so the only one, so that's another reason why I think I mistyped a 2 is because that's what I'm supposed to be, like maybe that's what I thought in my mind and kind of what I grew up like, that's the best way to be, and so you should be that. And I am only now kind of realizing, oh, I have these other gifts and they are celebrated and they are good, and I'm like you said, you grow up fast, and as an 8, you're kind of in this situation where you have to be independent quickly, young. And so if you read Road Back to You, I suggest that book big time.
Any other
questions?
I have a copy of it. Andrea's going to read it next, but I have a copy of it.
So good.
Good. I reference it quite a bit, so I don't know how much I want to load it out, but
yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I just had 2 questions.
Sure.
So our team did the Enneagram Institute test, and we were all 2s.
Sure.
And there was an interpretation that said females tend to be socialized as 2s. So look at your next one down. Mm-hmm. So I was curious about that. And I was also curious about the fact that the test didn't tell us what wings we are. So how do you know what wing you are? Or like,
okay.
I don't know what that means.
Those are both fantastic questions. So yes, every female I've ever met has had some 2. So it's pretty common to mistype 2 if you're a female. I would say keep digging. Now, if you're actually a 2, like I have a friend who's a female who actually is a 2, and I fully believe she is a 2. Like, there's no way about it. I would say keep digging. Second part, so you were talking about wings. Like, are you a wing 1? Okay, so let's say, do you have an idea of what number you are?
Well, I was like almost equal to 8 and 7.
2, 8, 7. Okay, so let's talk about the 8 and 7 over here. So let's say you're a 7. Okay, because I've talked about 8s a lot. So let's say you're a 7. Okay. If you are a 7, you have 2 wings. You can be a wing 8 or wing 6. Now, here's how I explain wings. If you have mashed potatoes and you're making mashed potatoes, you're going to put salt and pepper both in your mashed potatoes, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to have salt and pepper in there. You're probably going to have more salt than pepper, right? So when you hear people say, I'm a 7 wing 8, what they're saying is, I am a 7. I have a lot more personality traits of the 8, but you also have access to that 6 wing as well. Okay, so 7s, and depending on your wings, when they say I'm a 6 wing 7 or I'm a 8 wing 9, what they're saying is 8 is my core number, but the wing I can kind of see myself leaning one way or the other, and I feel more like in tune with the 9. Okay, so as an 8, I am an 8 wing 9. And the reason that the way I can tell that is because 8s are generally very, there's no nice way to say it. It's for me too. We're generally very forceful. We like to dominate conversation. We like to fight. We interpret fighting as intimacy. So that's just part of how we are. But I wing 9 way more than 7, which means that I have more attributes of the 9, meaning that I can mediate. I can tone it down. I am really good at sleeping. I am more chill. Like, I can have a more chill thing. Now, a 7 wing 8 person would have more energy than they would know what to do with. They would be constantly giving you ideas. They would be hustling all the time. They'd just be go, 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 go. And so what that means, like, your wing, like, I still have access to my 7 wing. Like, I'm an 8, 9 wing, but I still have access to that 7. I can have fun. There is nothing better than me on vacation. I love to have fun. I love to just, like, do whatever. But I think, and the way I kind of think of it as in, like, salt and pepper in mashed potatoes is, like, you have one that you have more of, but you still have access to both, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I hope I answered that one.
Yeah. I want to say too, I mean, all of these, the way you kind of just said that, I think, I mean, I'm going to just kind of pick on Haley here for a second, but Haley's a 4. She's a team member, but yet you said, I'm an 8 and I have access. I can still have fun. So if I'm Haley and I'm a 4, I'm going to be like, well, I can't have fun. Those aren't my wings.
Oh, no.
You know, so I think that's something to remember, because we had somebody that was like, well, I identify with this. I all these are. And so I think it's everybody has a little, I mean, it's all the seasonings in your cabinet are all part of who you are. So you might see characteristics of each of these in you. I'm a person that I really like to be on time. I think it's disrespectful to not be on time. That's a 1 characteristic. It's not a wing of mine. It's not something I go to in stress or health. But it's just something for me. But I'm not detail oriented. I'm not fairness. I'm not right and wrong. So I'm definitely not a 1, but that characteristic is something that I identify with. So I think that's really important.
So I think I'm gonna expound on that, because that is very important. So what we're talking about are characteristics, okay? Not your core longing or need, okay? So, like, for example, if you're in the grocery store and you have more than 15 items in your cart and you're going through the express line, okay, that will make multiple people on the Enneagram, that will make lots of people angry. Like if for someone to not be following the rules, that makes lots of people angry. It makes me angry. It makes my friend Lori angry. It makes us angry. So, but the reason it makes me angry is not because it's wrong. The reason it makes me angry is because it's that person is ignoring the social, like, there's a reason that that line is 15 or less, and it's because people need to go through the line quickly, and it's best for everyone. Like, it's the greater good, and it's injustice. Like, you're keeping that elderly person from buying one thing and waiting on you. That's just not right. And it's not because it's wrong, it's against the rules. It's just part of that. So when you're saying characteristics like you don't like being on time or you have to be on time, you're totally right. Like, being on time is a characteristic, but it's not your core motivation. I think you don't like being on time is because you think it's best for the whole team for everyone to be on time, not because it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? So you need to be looking at your motivations, like what's motivating that feeling or that characteristic.
That's totally a great point. I forgot that that's kind of where this starts. It's the motivation behind that. So,
oh, can I speak to the 4? Can I speak to the 4?
People you got. I'm going to give you 5 more minutes. That's it.
You're totally fine. And if we need to go, you can totally, like, we can do this another time. I'm so sorry I'm going over. So everyone can have fun. I don't want you to think only 7s have fun. I have lots of fun. Everyone can have fun. Your 4s are not always melancholy. I'm married to a 4. It's not drum and dreary all the time. He is super fun, has a lot of fun. I'm saying, like, your core need is to be unique. Your core need is to be valued for who you are. And the characteristics of your personality could be a lot of different things, but they're all described as needing that uniqueness. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that I think that's a good thing as to remember. It's the core of why those things you feel that certain way. So, people want the slides, and we recorded this today, so we'll get that out to you guys. I'm sorry. You guys know I'm a Nazi for getting.
I know. I'm so sorry.
But I thought, we'll just let it go for today. So next month we'll be here second Thursday noon. We'll send it out. But thank you guys so much for who attended. Thank you, Kim, for giving this talk, and thank your lunch provider for whoever provided lunch. Usually. Yes. First volunteer, but whoever provided your lunch today, make sure you say thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
All right, bye guys. Thank you so much.